Welcome to episode number 315, where I'm speaking with my client Ashley about her journey with Ayurveda. And in Ashley's words, she describes her journey as eye-opening, transformational, and even magical. So please stay tuned to find out more about Ashley's journey. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today, I'm very happy to welcome Ashley to the podcast. She's very kindly agreed to come on and share her experience with Ayurveda and her journey. So please welcome Ashley. Ashley, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here.
Oh, it's great. And I love people, listeners love these episodes where we get to speak about real life, right? And speak about how to bring Ayurveda into real life and everybody's experience, because each person has a different experience. And when I'm working with my clients, I'm tailoring it to their life, their needs, and so on. So it's great to get to hear these personal stories. So first of all, Ashley, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and so on?
Yes, I currently live in North Carolina in the United States. I have lived all over the U.S. I moved a lot throughout my life. I moved here originally about 7 years ago, but then moved up to Washington, D.C. for a job. I am a licensed attorney who is currently not practicing, and getting to enjoy my life back in North Carolina over the last year. A lot of hiking, a lot of yoga, time with friends, family, my dogs. And it's been a nice reset period after having some very high stress work-life balance. Well, no balance, really, just a lot of work and trying to figure out the right place for me after that.
Okay. So work was really taking full hold of your life in the past.
It was, and I started during COVID as well. And so when I moved up there, everyone was still remote. And also it was a new area of the law for me. And I'd never worked for a law firm before this. And I felt completely isolated from my office and very overwhelmed all the time. A lot of work and not a lot of self-care.
Okay. So your body was feeling it too. And
it very much was.
Okay.
I did.
So tell us, how did you first come across Ayurveda? How you were
yoga.
Seeking something, obviously, after all
yes.
this work pressure and stress. I guess that led you to seek something.
It did. It wanted me. I needed to work out. I hadn't really been exercising, and previously to that, after I graduated law school in 2019, I had gained a lot of weight, and I ended up losing 50 pounds in 2019. And then COVID hit, and the gym closed, and that had been, my reprieve. And so I have been on this journey throughout my life of not having balance, of doing all working out and getting in shape, or all work and not taking care of my health. And so I'd gotten into one of those patterns again, and I could tell that my body was going back to being unhealthy again, and I was putting on weight. And so I found a hot yoga studio that I could walk to from my apartment. And I started there and met a fantastic teacher who introduced me to some Ayurveda mentalities without really calling it Ayurveda. But helped me really get into the practice of yoga. And for me, it became almost a spiritual practice. And it was the only place that I even could meditate at all. Not that it was a part of my life, but after doing a really hard hot yoga or a flow or something, I could then relax my mind and feel a little bit better, at least, for an hour of class or something like that. And that's how I first started getting into it. And then I was looking for podcasts and other things that fit within this lifestyle just because it started to feel so good. One of them mentioned Ayurveda, and then I found you, and you've really been my Ayurveda guru since the beginning, since I found it. So it's really probably this year. It was probably about February that I found your podcast and started listening.
Right. Yeah. And we were in touch then in March. That's when you took advantage of the free 15-minute call, and we first connected then. So you were really getting into it straight away. If you just discovered the podcast. Yeah, yes, in February. And then in March, you were like, right, let's start this conversation. So tell us, about your journey with Ayurveda. So we connected, like I said, in March. We chit-chatted in that free 15-minute call. And yeah, take it from there. Tell us about your journey.
And I wanted more information. I didn't know very much. I started with the beginning podcast. So I was probably on episode, 50 at that point. And not that I've gone completely chronologically, but I was still towards the beginning. And I thought I knew my constitution, but I had no idea what my imbalances were, and my awareness of my own body and mind was definitely lacking in a way. I wasn't aware that was lacking as much as it was. And everywhere I went, I was listening to podcasts. I was constantly putting noise and sound into my head just to distract the thoughts. And one of the ways I did that was listening to your podcast all the time.
Okay. Right. So we started that call. Yes. And I remember you were asking about Ayurveda in that call, and we were just having a general chit chat, and you were inquiring, you were saying like you were at the start of your journey and you wanted to learn more. So I suggested like starting with a 90-minute consultation. So that, because it can be overwhelming when you're getting all this information all at once. And it's great to kind of get the information tailored to you and weed out all the excess information that you don't need, and really, put an individualized program together just for you, because otherwise, Ayurveda is a wealth of knowledge, and it's just so hard to decipher what do I follow. So we started with that 90-minute. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I booked that almost right away after that 15-minute call, but I didn't actually schedule it. I ended up going up to Ohio where my brother and his wife live, and I was up there for at least a month helping them with their baby at the time. And life kind of took over, and I just kept, I still was living healthfully. I've been plant-based for 17 years, and I still was exercising and doing yoga, but I was letting, when I'm hungry, I'll eat. When I'm not, sometimes I'm probably still eating emotionally and everything. But life got in the way, and it took me a while to finally get the 90-minute scheduled. But as soon as I did, I was so grateful and just wish I had done that earlier.
Right. Yes, I recall that. Yes, because you did book it straight after that 50-minute. And then, yes, there was some time. But like you said, this happens though. Life does get in the way, and we reconnected. I was like, yes, of course, let's do it. And so in the 90-minute, we spoke about your birth constitution and the imbalances going on. And it was in September, right? So it was like the end of a very hot summer. It was still hot.
It was.
In North Carolina, and you were feeling that heat.
Very much so, and doing hot yoga on top of that.
Oh yes, of course. So this was very aggravating, and both the Vata and Pitta were very much out of balance then. So then you did the 90-minute, and we talked about strategies, right, and put a plan in place to kind of cool down and pacify Pitta, and then also to calm Vata, because both were equally aggravated. So can you tell us a little bit about how you were feeling then?
Definitely. I knew I was overheated. I had breakouts on my face. I was feeling, especially internally, I would have, anger issues, really. I would notice road rage. I noticed that I had a short temper. That my brain was going, 100 miles a minute, it felt like, where I wasn't able to focus as well as I used to be. And I was somebody who used to just focus. And so I could tell that something was going on, but it was hard to put my finger exactly on what it was. So sitting down with that sheet and actually really during the consultation and you individually talking about what the imbalances were and how they really manifested in our bodies, that for me was eye-opening because I wasn't able to identify them. I wouldn't have been able to without that sheet, to be able to, oh, here's a word that makes sense. This is what I am feeling inside that I am not able to put words to, that I know something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. So I needed that. Here's a list.
Yes. And as she's referring to that Vikriti form I have my clients fill out in advance of the consultation, where I give a list of symptoms in each category. We go through appetite, digestion, like skin, hair, nails, ears, everything, emotions, moods, and so on, and the mind, because it can be hard to put a word on what you're feeling. And so having people fill out that sheet in advance really helps people, first of all, to identify what they're feeling in their body, identify with what's going on physically, emotionally, mentally, so that they're coming into the consultation with already thinking through it and thinking about the full expanse of their health. I think that's really helpful in regards, like you said, putting a name to what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. That really was eye-opening for me to see how many of the individual categories I actually did have an imbalance in. I thought I was doing pretty well with, migraine once in a while and, some skin issues, but it was like, oh no, I'm actually have a lot of imbalances that I haven't been paying attention to because maybe something else has been overriding, or it's been there for so long that I'm not considering it as an imbalance. I just think that's part of life now, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And it's amazing what we can live with and think that, okay, this is something I have to deal with. My migraines, like you said, you've experienced those since you were young, and you're like, okay, I guess this is part of my life and I'm just going to have to tolerate them. And so during that cleanse, I was explained to what exactly was going on, the root causes, particularly the end of the hot summer, there was that accumulation of heat in your body, right? So we talked then about the cleanse. And yes. I suggested, I think it would be great for you to do a reset. We need to get rid of this, eliminate this accumulation of heat in your body, and then pacify Vata, especially before you go into fall, because we know that accumulation of heat can really dry out Vata, cause a lot of not only Pitta aggravation, but then aggravate Vata during the fall season, which just be miserable. So we wanted to just reset. So then you went and joined the group cleanse, just the recent one, the October group cleanse.
Yes. And I was ecstatic that the timing just worked out beautifully for that. I knew I had wanted to do a cleanse with you for a while. That was something that very much interested me. I was a little overwhelmed by what a cleanse would entail, but it's truly the best thing that I've ever done for myself and my body and my mind. It just was, and it was not overwhelming. It was so easy to follow. Right. And I was impressed with myself. Truly. I was just like, I have this willpower. I have this ability to follow this plan. I just needed someone putting those practices in front of me, especially a routine. You gave me a routine during that initial consultation, even before the cleanse started, that I could start implementing into my life to help me go to bed earlier, because I was having a lot of sleep issues as well with Vata rising and waking up at that Vata time of night, which I hadn't put together before. But after talking to you, I realized I needed more of those grounding practices. And now I just treasure my nighttime routine. It's 8:30 and I go in there and I start my Abhyanga, and I love pranayama, and I've been doing especially the alternate nostril breathing multiple times a day. And I think it's really helped me to calm down and just get into a better place mentally, and also the meditation as well. But the cleanse is what we actually started gradually taking things out. And the biggest one for me was caffeine. I have been an espresso addict since I was 16 years old, so over 20 years. And I have a machine. I brew it every morning. I do my whole thing. I don't even want it at this point. It's just kind of crazy. Like I'll smell it because I'll make my partner a latte every now and then. And so I'll smell the espresso. I'm like, that smells good, but I don't even want it. And it's just been nice. I'm sure eventually I'll have some and enjoy it again. But I like the way I feel without it a lot.
Yeah, and it's great to feel that you don't have to use that as a crutch. I mean, yes, it's not about getting rid of it forever, but you know that you're not reliant on it, which is great. Because yeah, the caffeine was something that you were concerned about, right? At the start of the cleanse, like giving up caffeine. So can you tell us a little bit about your cleanse experience? Went through the first week. That's where, as you said, you were starting to eliminate the caffeine and the highly processed foods and so on. And then during cleanse week, how did you feel?
Yeah, the first 2 days, it was sort of an out of body experience, but I was grateful for the forced time to be calm and relaxed. Wasn't working out, and I was just really paying a lot more attention to my body. The journaling and the yoga and the meditation just really have had me tuning into what was going on in a way I had not been before. And then on the third day, I felt amazing. I think that's when I really started to be like, this is the best thing ever. This is magic. I don't know what's happening to my body, but I feel great. My mind feels great. I just was loving everything about it. And I didn't feel any deprivation. I didn't feel anything except really calmness and happiness. And like I was transforming my life in a way that needed to happen for a while. And I was grateful I was finally going through with it.
Great. Yeah. And the thing was, you had that previous 90-minute consult back in April. So you had already implemented strategies, like we're talking about your morning routine, your evening routine that I tailored to your lifestyle. And we talked about your foods and put together a food plan for you. So you had been implementing those, as you said, but you can feel the difference, right, between implementing that bit by bit and then doing the cleanse, which is a complete reset in one fell swoop. And you can feel it, the shifts so much more, right, in the body and mind when you do the cleanse, because it's in one set time period versus implementing changes here and there.
Absolutely. It was very doable with the taking things out gradually, a little bit at a time. It made it so much more manageable. And then having the shopping list and knowing a week ahead of time exactly what I was going to be making so that I could be prepared, so that I could have the ingredients, and taking that decision making out of it. Really, I think that for me was such a major part of all of the positive benefits of it, where I know what I'm eating, I know when I'm eating, I know what day I'm cooking, I know what ingredients I'm using, I know when I'm working out, without having to have that, okay, do I feel like doing this today? Do I feel like eating this today? Because It's not about that, or it's not about what's going to taste delicious. I mean, the foods are delicious, but it's interesting the way my taste buds changed during the cleanse as well. And starting to reintroduce foods during rejuvenation week, I was like, everything is amazing. And like, I've never enjoyed walnuts more. And it just every little aspect, and pears and everything in season. It's just opened up a whole new world, and it changes my outlook on just how to function. And it makes it so much easier and so much more fun for me, at least. I'm really, really getting into the cooking, which I did not enjoy cooking before.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it is true with the cleanse, it really does reset your taste buds, because over time our taste buds become immune. It's like when you're adding spice, you're like, oh, I need to add more, because I don't taste it so much. But with resetting the taste buds during the cleanse, where the food is very simple, and then, there's a whole new appreciation for flavors and textures and taste, right? That first week, you appreciate everything. A rejuvenation week.
And I loved reading everyone else's stories and what they were eating as well, because you could tell everybody was just really cherishing these foods, and it was really fun to see and hear everyone's perspective on it.
Yeah, I loved even when one person in the group who was showing how she was making art with her food and a kitchery mandala. I was like, wow, it's a whole other level.
I was so impressed. Exactly. Yes, I have goals. I'm not on that level yet.
That was very impressive. But also it's true that, that decision paralysis that we all feel, I think, in this world today, because there's so much coming at us all the time, and micro decisions every day that drain our energy. And the more that we can have these things on autopilot in our life, so we're not draining our energy on these micro decisions, daily. And then during the cleanse, you're literally, you're given a plan. You're told what way the day should flow, given, that everything is going well that day. Of course, we go with the flow if something pops up. But there's a huge relief when we have set of decisions already made and that we know exactly what we're doing. And like you said, what you're cooking and the ingredients and so on makes a big difference. But it was really great to hear your post cleanse review and the fact that, you were talking about the better sleep, less anxiety, which you said was very odd for you. We had the weight loss and then better connections in your relationships as well.
There were numerous benefits. And I do believe that those connections with people has a big part to do with the anxiety I had been experiencing. I kind of thought that not having my firm job was going to make everything better, but that clearly was not the answer. And I don't know if it was the decision thing. I think that had a lot to do with it, truly. But I also believe that the meditation has a big role to play in that. But everyone I meet, neighbors on the street, people I work out with at the gym every day, my connections with them have gotten so much better. My friendships have been stronger. I've made new connections. I can just tell when I'm interacting with people, I don't have that anxiety that I used to have in those social situations or where I'm concerned with what someone else is thinking. It's not there. I'm just truly connecting from a genuine, true level. And it's even hard to put into words, but that for me has just been magical because I've missed those connections with people. I think since COVID, I'm sure a lot of us have struggled, yes. But I finally feel like I'm almost back to the person I was before, able to connect with people and make friends and build a community in a true, genuine way.
Oh, that's lovely. You're giving me goosebumps here. That's so great. But to see how it really is a journey of awareness, Ayurveda, and on the cleanse is where you're learning a lot about how your diet and lifestyle and daily habits are really affecting how you are not only feeling physically, but emotionally and mentally and interacting with others in the world. It's amazing the effect it can have. And that's why the cleanse is holistic, bringing in mindfulness practices, lots of education, obviously the food and so on. But those mindfulness practices and setting up your lifestyle and morning and evening routines is really important too, to make sure that we're getting a really holistic experience.
Absolutely. It's really, it's been the most transformational journey of my life. And those are things that now I do meditate multiple times a day. And I just do breath work when I feel like I'm maybe getting a little heated or in traffic or something. And just having those little pieces of awareness around that has been massive. Or I think for me, having the next consultation, because after the cleanse, we had another consultation that I scheduled. And during that, when I went through the form again, I had a much greater awareness of where the imbalances were and what was going on. And I think for me, that really opened my eyes to how much I've changed within that. I'm sure it was over a month between the calls, but within that period of time that I really got to understand what was going on with my mind and body in a much better way, much better than I ever had before.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I could definitely see your energy, physically, obviously you've lost weight, but your energy as well has shifted. And you said that others around you have noticed that as well.
Definitely. Well, I did. I lost a fair amount of weight on the cleanse, which was not the goal, but also very much appreciated because I had not been able to get that 12 pounds off for 3 years, but now I have. But yeah, people around me, I got to see my parents recently and they could tell. And then I live with my partner and he's been able to tell a massive difference in me. And then my friends at the gym also, I just, a ton of people have been telling me that they see a difference in me, especially in just the way that I am. And I am so incredibly grateful to you for opening up this journey and having all these incredible offerings to be able to do this with my life.
Well, it was a pleasure to support you. And it's all Ayurveda. It's all amazing. And that's the beautiful thing is now you're understanding how to take care of yourself and feel empowered, right? To take care of yourself. And it's simple things day in, day out. And on that note, talking about what we do day in, day out, now you're continuing with the Daily Habits for Holistic Health program, that 28-day self-paced program I have, which is it is a follow-up for the cleanse. And so now you're going a little deeper into the education so that to make sure that we're reinforcing the habits from the cleanse, but also to learn how to become your own healer, learning about the principle of opposites. And I know you're in the middle of that program right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that and how you're feeling? Are you feeling empowered? Are you feeling, confident in making your own decisions now?
Absolutely. I just love the program. And I mean, I'm someone who loves learning, and it does take me a little longer as a kapha to learn some things, but once I get them, I'm gonna keep them. And remember it. I love the program. I'm eating it up. I want to cherish it, but I also at the same time want to see what's next. It's empowering because you do it in small chunks that are very digestible, and there's homework each day. And a lot of times, especially post cleanse, it's something that I'm already doing. And so I just feel empowered that, okay, yes, I'm doing this. I'm tongue scraping. I'm oil pulling. I'm doing Abhyanga. I'm, going to bed before 10. I'm waking up before sunrise. And little by little, I just see how it works together. And then starting to go even further and see how the different qualities of everything in the world work together. I'm in the mind section right now and getting into the gunas and understanding all of those different things that is going on. But it also helps on a daily basis because as you've said, hey, it's windy outside, do more grounding. That vata is happening.
Yes.
That happened the very next day after we spoke. And so I'm adding cinnamon and having cinnamon tea and doing the vata, grounding practices.
Yeah.
I just love it. And I want to learn more. And it's the most manageable way truly to do it is to go through those practices. And it's in a very digestible format with the PowerPoint, with the audio, which works for me, and I handwrite. So I take notes the whole time and really try and digest that information and meditate on it and then go back and look at it from time to time too.
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, that's the purpose of it, because my objective is to really empower people to take charge of their own health and to go out there and be, to really feel confident and empowered to be their own healer. That for me is the objective, and I love to see that. And so for me to hear and to be witness to your journey and to, see how excited and passionate you are about it is just beautiful. And I love that you're seeing these massive changes and, now you're going forward and you're being a role model for others because, others are seeing these shift in you, not only physically, but energetically and emotionally. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's how we make these changes in the world, by Ayurveda spreading all the time. So that's wonderful. Before we finish up here, Ashley, I'd love to know, if you have any advice for others on their Ayurvedic journey. And also, you've talked a lot about how Ayurveda has changed you and the way you live your life. But if there's anything else you want to share, please go ahead.
I as a listener myself, because this is how I got into it, I wish I just started earlier. It's a very good way to get through with it is to meet with you, and you're just so kind and non-judgmental and open, and just what a beautiful goal to empower people to help themselves. And so my best advice is just do it. That's, if you're thinking about it, if you're here listening to the podcast, you are thinking about it. So do it. Do even the free 15-minute call, and then you can get some direction.
Right.
But every single offering has been incredible. And it's something that I want to keep doing. And I knew during cleanse week that I did not want to go back. I knew that this was a lifestyle that is working. It feels like magic. I know it's ancient wisdom and I know it's real, but it feels like magic with how quickly everything works. But also you could start by just instituting some of the practices you preach on a daily basis. Go to bed by 10, wake up early, meditate, do pranayama. And that's hard to do on your own. And if it is, then do the cleanse or do the daily habits course, because that really is life-changing.
Oh,
truly.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you, Ashley. And like I said, it's wonderful to be witness to the shifts you're making. And this is why I do what I do, because like you, I went through that change in 2014. I went through my cleansing experience. It was like, wow, I want to tell everybody about this. This is amazing and so simple and so natural. And so that's why I'm doing the work today. So it's beautiful. You know, it really lights a fire onto me when I see people like you and getting passionate again, and all the clients I deal with. It's just a wonderful work to be involved in, and I'm still passionate about sharing it. And thank you for sharing your story today. I really appreciate it. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to witnessing the journey continue.
Definitely. Well, thank you. I am forever truly grateful to you for all of this.
It was an absolute pleasure to be your guide and a support just in sharing the wisdom of Ayurveda. Absolute pleasure. Ashley, I wish you the very best. Keep me posted, and we'll definitely be in touch as you go through the daily habits as well. And yeah, wishing you all the best. I'm absolutely thrilled for you and looking forward to hearing the rest of your adventures.
Well, thank you so much. We'll definitely be in touch.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Ashley. It was very kind of her to come on the podcast and share her Ayurvedic experience. And if you would like to take part in that Digestive Reset Cleanse, my next group discounted cleanse is February 2nd, 2024. And if you would like to do that cleanse at another time, you can choose your own dates, and that's with a private cleanse. Both cleanses are the same structure, same format. With the group cleanse, obviously it's set dates. The next one starting February 2nd, 2024, going through it in a group format with a private community where I guide the group. And in a private cleanse, you get to choose your own dates, and I will be guiding you privately. So a couple of options there. And I also offer online consultations and the Daily Habits program, which Ashley was speaking about there, that 28-day online self-paced program. It's a real deep dive into essentially becoming your own healer and lots of further education. So check all that out on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and you can also find that link in the show notes. And now that we're entering into the holiday season, if you want to give the gift of health to yourself or others, I offer gift vouchers. I'll put that link in the show notes also, or just contact me directly and I can set that up for you. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so, and the new weekly episodes will automatically download for you. And I would really appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts, as this will help spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. You can find me on social media, on Facebook under Elements Healing and Wellbeing, and on Instagram under my new Instagram page, Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.